With me at this press conference is my client, Sarah Wairimu Tob Cohen, and my colleague Bob Otieno. And you are probably familiar with the subject matter of why we have called this press conference. We all woke up today to this headline from the Star newspaper entitled, "Kinoti lied over judge, top DCI cop confesses," and it goes over to the next page where DCI Kinoti lied about Sankale in Tob Cohen's murder, detective confesses. Without going into the merits of the Tob Cohen matter, you all know, and it's carried in the same story, that Kinoti had claimed that the judge, Justice Kantai, together with our client, Sarah, had planned, participated, and murdered Tob Cohen, the husband of Sarah. If he lied about Justice Sankale, it follows that he lied about Sarah. It's as simple as that. His theory is that the two of them planned and committed an offense. If it is found he lied about one of the so-called perpetrators, his theory crashes to the ground. In this case, we're not talking about the revelation of a junior, disgruntled police officer who's no longer in service. We're talking about one of the top CID officers in the country who is still in service by the name John Gashomo. The media has the communication between Mr. Gashomo and the Attorney General, an affidavit by Mr. Gashomo, and an internal memo between Mr. Gashomo and the Director of Criminal Investigations. In his affidavit, which I shall supply to those of you who haven't seen it, Mr. Gashomo at paragraph 7 and 8 says, with reference to a very long 77-page affidavit he had sworn against Justice Kantai, the Director of Public Prosecutions, he says, "I can confirm the contents of the affidavit dated 27th day of September are neither based on facts nor documents filed from the file held in my office." Paragraph 8, that the contents of the said affidavit are false, and I therefore retract, deny of any knowledge and could not have been uttered by myself. He is saying everything in that affidavit is a lie. He is therefore saying, when he was forced to sign the last page of that long affidavit alone, the rest of the 77 pages of affidavit are lies created by, with the connivance or under the direction of George Kinoti. It therefore means our client has been charged based on lies and fabricated evidence that has been created under the direction and control of Mr. George Kinoti. Now, this is indeed an alarming situation. It means that President Kenyatta appointed to the office of DCI a person who was totally dishonest, a person who had no qualms about creating and fabricating evidence. The tragedy, we all make mistakes, and indeed the president may have made a mistake. The tragedy is that he lasted in office for so long. If he did this against the Honorable Justice Sankale and our client, how many others suffered the same fate? I personally one day got in the way of Mr. Kinoti when I was defending the good lady Sarah. And he went on my case and attempted to have me arrested and charged with forgery. Forgery of a will I had never seen in my life before I got involved in this case. When the DPP stopped him, he went off on a flying rage in writing that he was being stopped from doing what he considered in the best interest of the case. So what I'm saying is, by the time Kinoti left office, I think he was totally unhinged, he was out of control, he was obsessive, and he was injuring the public good. He was no longer acting in the interest of the administration of justice, but pursuing personal vendetta, personal goals, and sometimes for clear benefit to himself. In this case of Ms. Kamodo, there is a property that is the jointly owned matrimonial property of both Tobs and Sarah. Mr. Kinoti has single-handedly maintained possession and control of that property from September, perhaps late August 2019. It has been totally destroyed while he holds it for the clear benefit of persons who he has become very close to that are interested parties. That will come out another day, another time. On our part, the defense team of Ms. Cohen, on the 13th of October 2022, we addressed a letter to the DPP, a copy of which I am going to give you, referring to the criminal case she is facing and one of the applications that are now in the Court of Appeal. We have detailed to the DPP at least 4 letters we wrote to him and the IG at the time, complaining about the skewed nature of the investigations, the fabrication of evidence, and even the withholding of evidence to enable Ms. Kamodo Cohen prepare her defense. We have always, in those letters, asked for fresh, independent investigations. In one letter, dated 20th June 2020, the DPP had suggested to the IG in a letter that he intended to recommend the initiation of an invitation of appropriate foreign investigative agencies to assist in the matter of conducting joint investigations together with officers of the National Police Force. We publicly, and it was once again reported through the Star newspaper, thank you, in one of their stories in the paper dated 11th of October 2021, that we welcomed that initiative. Nothing came of it. As matters stand, I give you a quick narration. Sarah was arrested. Her nightmare began on the 28th of August 2019 when she was arrested without charge. She was held in custody for 15 days through orders obtained through falsehoods by DCI officers. On the 12th of September 2019, while Nuruddin Haji, the DPP, was out of the country, somehow, the DCI was able to procure the charging of our client with the offense of murder through 2 officers of the DPP, one Catherine Mwaniki and one Nicholas Mutuku. And for those of you who have covered court proceedings, a charge sheet is preferred, and at the back of the charge sheet it is indicated that the evidence is attached. Despite this indication on the information dated 12th September 2019, not a shred, not a scrap of evidence was availed to our client or the defense team in court. What then happened was a circus in court, delay in every step. It took months before any evidence was availed. And when George Kinoti was on his last legs, in other words, he had been given his last chance to produce evidence or have Sarah released, he came up with the now infamous theory that a judge was involved. And from then on, a new circus that the DPP is refusing to charge a judge, and that's what is delaying the case. We are aware, and it is a part of our letters which we are going to provide to you, that politicians who are very well known, were very well connected with the immediate past government, had an interest in this matter and the property, the jointly owned matrimonial property of the Cohens. Mr. Kinoti pandered to these politicians in pushing the case against our client, in pushing an agenda that she should be disinherited. We have identified those politicians. We have asked that they be investigated in the past, and nothing was done. Today, and in the letter dated 13th of October 2022, we are calling upon the defense team of Ms. Cohen is calling upon the DPP to order fresh investigations into the murder of the late Tob Cohen. If necessary, and it is at his discretion, he can choose any other foreign agencies to assist. We, however, have commented in the past that he should refrain from using the Dutch police for obvious reasons. The Dutch media, who don't seem to care very much for the truth, have carried narratives which appear to suggest that because Cohen was a Dutch person, whatever they say against Ms. Cohen, whether it's supported by evidence or not, is correct. And you will find in those Dutch newspapers it was always Kinoti or his officers that provided the information. If such evidence, if such investigations do not find that there is enough evidence to charge any person, we are requesting that a judicial inquest be held. All existing evidence, including whatever has already been found, will be tested, and a court will determine whether or not there is enough to prosecute anybody. If the DPP agrees with us, and we pray that he does, and the charges are dropped, because the fresh investigations will necessitate the dropping of the charges against Ms. Cohen, we would be asking for an immediate release of her jointly owned matrimonial home, together with all the contents, cars and everything else, to her. It is obvious why we do this. Within days, the investigations were supposed to have been concluded. Electronic evidence was collected, includes photographic and video evidence by the scenes of crime. That evidence should be preserved. There has been no reason whatsoever for George Kinoti and his team then to have continued to hold onto the home of Ms. Cohen. So we'll be asking for that. We have asked for that. And we pray that in the new political administration, where George Kinoti, one, does not feature and is not able to pull his strings anymore, our client will get justice. She wants justice not only for herself, but for the murder of her late husband. She wants to know who killed her late husband. So that really is the extent of the presser today. I'll let you have these documents. And I mustn't forget, this is important, and this is on the invitation we sent to you. We demand, and we say this within our constitutional rights as the defense team on behalf of Sarah, she demands that George Kinoti be fully investigated for his role, any role he may have played during, after the death, in any cover-ups, any fabrication of evidence, and the general perversion and conspiracy to defeat the cause of justice. We think Mr. Kinoti has a lot of questions to answer. We don't want to even talk about the evidence because that is a matter in court. But the fact that Mr. Gashomo can say to append his signature to a false, very, very lengthy affidavit is a crime in itself, for which Mr. Kinoti should be prosecuted. It is a clear offense. So with that, I will ask Sarah to say as little as she can because of her limitations as a person who remains charged in a court of law, but she can say one or two things. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Good afternoon. I just want to reiterate on what the senior counsel has said. I'm still in mourning. I've never been given a chance to even mourn my husband. I've just been thrown from one side to the other. But I want to say thank you for this opportunity to be able to be heard out there. This matter is in court, so we cannot discuss it much. But I do appeal to the DPP if he can look into this case and see that there is reason to look deeper. I'm saddened when I think that the same people who are supposed to be protecting us are the same people who are fabricating falsehoods to get us into positions for probably their own benefit. But I know that justice will be served, hopefully in the shortest time possible. I don't know about others, but for me, I feel the balance is tipping in the wrong directions when investigations go this way. This is a judge they're talking about. I'm just a common person. There are others out there who have no voices. So I pray that the new government can look into these issues, because I'm sure there are lots of people who are suffering out there without a voice. So thank you.
Maybe I should just say one last thing. Whatever I have said today should not be seen to be a wholesale condemnation of our brothers and sisters in the Directorate of Criminal Investigations or in the National Police Service. 99.9% of them are good men and women who want to do good. We are talking about the 0.1%, the George Kinotis, who run amok, who become rogue, and somehow no one knows how to stop them before they've done a lot of damage. So I am not here to condemn the police officers upon whom we rely every day for a good job. We are talking about the one bad, rotten egg. And I have some experience in that. I have been a DPP in times gone by. And I also worked with one such DCI. His name was Joseph Kamau. Because of his special political connections, he wouldn't listen to the Office of the Attorney General, and it was a constant tug of war. History, I am told, repeats itself. George Kinoti was his PA. Perhaps that's where he learned his bad manners. But with that, any questions?
Mine was actually a very simple thing. Is that affidavit filed with the court?
Yeah, it would appear, I got it from the press, it would appear, it has a title, which is the case E334 of 2021, and I'll give you a copy. Okay? You're from the Star?
The Standard.
Standard, okay. So why, I was about to say, how did you write your story? So, and it's the one copy I have. Sorry, yeah, any other questions? Thank you very much, Asanteni. And then you can have a copy of this one copy, and I can pass to one of you one on WhatsApp.